You're an easy target.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I get along with Kody.
Jealousy is a real thing that we have all the time.
His negativity is kind of making me crazy.
Are you in love with Janelle?
I love Janelle.
Are you in love with Janelle?
Everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday, February 3rd. I have been sitting here thinking about this weekend because the new episode or the next installment of the Tell-All for Sister Wives is coming up. And are any of you going back and watching the first couple seasons? I just started doing this on Discovery Plus, and I like Discovery Plus because there's no commercials. And I was watching the second season. So after Robyn had been married to Kody and like all the kids moved in with them, and I was listening to just like how differently the family spoke about one another and how they spoke about, you know, their goals and everything. And I was realizing almost from the very beginning of how this started, they were very, like, in one breath accepting of Robyn and then the other breath very apprehensive of Robyn.
So we get along well now because we've
worked through our issues.
You know what, it's just a constant thing. It's like any other friendship that you have. With Robyn coming along,
It just changes everything.
It just changes everything.
It shakes everything up.
It's just going to be a new
adjustment.
And I also was going back to sort of watch the progression of Christine because this next episode is going to be talking about the end of their relationship. And I wanted to see, like, how did it start? Like, where were they at when the show started? And mind you, I understand that the show is relatively, I mean, to a point scripted because you're only seeing like a tiny bit of their lives and you're seeing whatever the editors put out there. So it's not like totally transparent. You're not seeing every aspect of who they are. But when all of this was going on, you know, they were still in Utah. They were living in like one house and Robyn had a house down the street. And Christine was like the stay-at-home mom. And she had a good rhythm and she was with the kids. And then when Robyn came into the family, came in and she also did not work. So when they came in, they added Robyn and her 3 kids and they added no extra income. And so the burden of all the kids, of Robyn's kids, of her house and all of those bills fell onto Kody and Janelle to take care of because they were the primary breadwinners at the time.
I had some personal reservations for whatever reason. I actually kind of shuddered. I actually had an ick factor.
He did because I was divorced with kids, and that's a lot. You know, that's a lot. I'm sorry. It's
I'm
okay.
Just being truthful.
So I'm looking back at it with this idea in my mind of, in one way, maybe they felt like Robyn didn't contribute when she came into the family because she brought in 3 kids. She brought in a whole stream of, you know, we have to come in, and then she wasn't pulling her weight with work. Now she was helping out at home, which they said was valuable to the family, but then at the same time, there was like conflict between her and Janelle from the very beginning about her not working. So Kody from the very beginning didn't want Robyn to work, and it was pretty clear that he wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom, maybe like a kept wife. And Christine was the house mom. It's interesting to look back at it from that perspective because back then Christine loved that role. She wanted to be the one to take care of the kids, but Robyn wanted to be the worker. She was not used to any of that. And then you had Janelle with this resentment almost towards Robyn because she's coming in and now she has to support Robyn and her kids, and it's just another added bill. Mind you, during this time, you know, this family had not been set well off financially. They were not in a position like they are today where they can have, you know, $1 million houses and all of this property. They, you know, I think at least one of them had recently declared bankruptcy. Mary and Kody had declared bankruptcy. Janelle had declared bankruptcy. There wasn't like this cash flow that they had to add Robyn. She's added to the family and it adds a layer of financial stress right off the bat. And then I also noticed right from the beginning too was that Robyn was always very apprehensive in terms of like Robyn was always very like needy of wanting to feel like she was accepted. And I think the others were just not accepting. They were doing their best to try to like enmesh her, but at the same time, I think it was just like overwhelming for everyone. So that gets me to the point of where they're at today. And it's just so weird because back then they're talking about all the benefits of this. You know, they all get to work together. They can have a couple work and then a couple can stay home and they're all working as a family and as a unit.
Are you excited?
In plural marriage, it's like this fine balance between your needs versus your sister wives' needs. It makes a successful situation if you can look out for your sister wives.
Over the 10 years that they've gone public, they've changed so much because not only have they left Utah, they've left their church community. They're still in a church, but they're not part of the community anymore. They were living in the community back then. They've also become more mainstream. They put their kids in public school when they had previously been homeschooled or in private school. They went through this huge metamorphosis in that time when they added Robyn. Then they also added Robyn and started a show at the same time. And I also was just thinking this was a little bit weird because if you watch the show, when Kody and Robyn were courting, they didn't court for a very long time, and then they ultimately get married. And within like a second of getting married, those kids were calling Kody dad like right away. And I was just, there's part of me that's like, I wonder from the get-go what it might have been like for Robyn to walk into a family into instant fame, and then the family dealing with fame, the change of adding Robyn, and then 3 more kids and more bills. It's just, it seems like it was like this recipe for disaster. And then, you know, with fame comes attention, comes all kinds of, you know, good and bad. And I think they've had to weather that. And I think if you look at the totality of reality television, you can see how hard reality television is on marriages. I mean, you don't have to look very hard. You can always see one of the housewives is getting divorced or whatever reality show. I mean, John and Kate divorced. There's so many reality couples that have called it quits. So I don't think the pressure of maintaining a relationship in the public eye also plays a factor here. But when it comes to Kody, I think, and the family, when I'm looking back to where they were to where they are, is that they changed so fundamentally that I think they lost their identity. I don't think that from the beginning it was a functional family, but I think it became more dysfunctional the more they shied away from their faith and the more they stepped out into the mainstream. And I think as more of the wives got sort of a taste of that independence, they realized that they did not need to rely on Kody. They did not need to be in this unit. They realized that there was a whole world out there. And I think that exposure, because they had been so private and so insular, opened their eyes to a whole new world and a whole new option. And I think that is what fundamentally changed Christine, who no longer wants to actually be a polygamist anymore. So there are good things that happened here. And then I was thinking about how in this next coming episode, there has been a discussion about how Kody has only one functioning relationship with Robyn, and that he's only in like full fellowship, meaning he's only having intimate relationships with her and nobody else. And because of that, Robyn is angry. I don't know. So she's mad that he only has one functioning relationship. And Robyn also says that she is an easy target and a scapegoat for the family, so they can blame her when everything has gone wrong. And
You're an easy target?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I get along with Kody.
in all due respect to all the people that hate Robyn, I have to say that it can't just be Robyn's fault. I mean, I think there's a huge umbrella of problems that happened here with the fame, with Kody's ego, with Kody's narcissism, with changing fundamentally who they were. I think it is easy to blame Robyn for everything, but I also think that it's also easy from a society to blame the woman and not blame the man or blame the system. So I think I feel for her in that way, but I also think that she maybe lacks a little bit of understanding of where the other wives are coming from in regards to their situations with Kody. So she's angry and she's like upset that he only has one relationship, and then she also says that she is an easy target, which I'm sure she is. Even from the very beginning, the kids were very skeptical of her, even the older ones in particular.
Kody.
There's this sort of pecking order, and Robyn's like, why are you this way?
You really are the only one that's having a fully functioning relationship with Kody. That must bother them.
It makes me angry.
So you have the older kids and you have all these issues with Robyn, but then now you're going to get into the nitty gritty between Kody and Christine. And she says that, he said that he didn't want to have any intimacy with her anymore. He says that he had a wife that was stabbing him in the back, and so it didn't make him want to be intimate. He also says that he didn't run after her and chase her when it came to her deciding to leave. So he's not going after her. He's not telling her to stay, which to me tells me they were at the end of their relationship. Like, if one person is leaving and the other person's saying don't go, it's over. It's like mutual at that point. So he's going to get some pushback about how he treated Christine, and Christine is going to open up about how she felt and the jealousy that she experienced. And I think jealousy is impossible to be a part of this world. It's not normal to share your spouse, and it's not normal to watch your spouse be in a relationship with another person and have kids with them. So there would always be a level of pain. And then in the early days, they claimed that made them less selfish and that made them more willing to brush aside issues. But I think it festers because they have to not deal with things and they just shove everything under a rug, which is kind of what Robyn said, that like moving kind of and COVID pulled the rug open and said, look at all of our problems. We've put them under here for such a long time. And you have to remember, they're part of a machine, which is TLC. So they have this machine of a show going on top of their family. It's a lot of pressure. I'm not a fan of Kody, but it's a lot for any family.
I don't want polygamy because I don't believe in it for me anymore.
We've got these great memories and we got these beautiful children, and you hate polygamy? What the crap?
Are we ever?
So you have all of these different issues. You have Christine, who's been exposed now to an entirely new world, who has the ability to see things from a completely different perspective. And now she's going to make the decision to go. And so they're going to talk about why she's left. They're going to go after Kody. But then Kody is also going to touch on Janelle. One of the teasers from the from this next episode was asking Kody whether or not he was in love with Janelle. So I was watching season 2, and back then Kody and Janelle's relationship seemed to be functioning at that point. I don't know how intimate they were. I mean, I watched an episode where they went camping and they were talking about physical intimacy and kissing and that kind of stuff. So they were at least kissing then. I don't know if they still kiss today. But Kody and Janelle's relationship then appeared to be one of affection, and today it doesn't appear to be that way. And Janelle has said, and she will be talking about how his negative attitude and his behavior overall has been really toxic. And then when asked if he loves her or if he's in love with her, he says that he loves her. So like she says, are you in love with her?
You're making me crazy. Are you in love with Janelle?
I love Janelle.
Are you in love with Janelle?
And she says, but are you in love with her? And so he shakes his head, and I don't know if that's clever editing or not. I don't know where their relationship is at. It seems and it appears to be very platonic, but again, it's editing. It could be more, it could be less, but Janelle had him at her house recently. She had a stocking up for him at Christmas time. So I really don't know what the status is of their relationship. There's all these rumors that she's going to be the next one to leave, but I honestly have no clue if that's the case. We're going to see a little bit more this upcoming episode, and I hope it answers a little bit more questions. Maybe it can dive into aspects of what happened in the split. Overall, it's been really good to see Christine break free of this, and I hope she's holding true to herself where she's saying she's done with polygamy. If that's the case, it's huge. I mean, she's giving up the way that she grew up. It's a cult leader's granddaughter that's leaving the cult. That's amazing. Big ups to Christine. So what are your thoughts about how the show has changed? Are you surprised? Not surprised? What do you think fame played into as a factor in this family? What do you think going public did to change the family? And what do you feel like is going to happen moving forward? Do they go on with the show without Christine? Do they film with Christine? And then what about Janelle? Do you think there is love lost between Janelle and Kody? Do you think the rumors are true that she is planning to leave? And then when it comes to Robyn, what are your thoughts about her being an easy target? and her anger at being the only wife that has a functioning relationship with Kody. That's a lot of pressure to put on her. I mean, he's a pretty demanding guy, so I don't know if she wants him there all the time. Maybe. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.